In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to file a permanent administrative order. A permanent administrative order is only allowed after a notice of proposed rulemaking is filed and the statutory timelines and deadlines are met. The exceptions to this are when renumbering a rule, adopting Attorney General's model rules by reference, or working on rules relating to public contracts and purchasing pursuant to ORS 183.335. After logging in, we will click Oregon Admin Rules. Next, if we have multiple chapters assigned to us, we will see them here and need to select the one we are going to be working in. Now from the dashboard here, we will want to come down to our Filings Final queue. This queue will only show filings from the previous 30 days. Most of the time, your notice will have been filed more than 30 days ago, so we will need to click Show More to see it. We will scroll down and find our desired notice. Let's use this one here. We will click View. All right, now we're viewing the notice that was filed. From this screen, you can see that there was only one rule in this notice. I'm going to right-click View and click Open Link in New tab. And then I'm going to click Start Draft on this rule. All right, from our Maintain Rule screen, we can see that our rule title, our rule text, and statutory information is all carried over from our notice. So if there has been no changes to this rule text since the notice, we can just go ahead and put in a rule summary here. Now this is why we also opened the other tab. Many times, our rule summary from our notice still applies to our permanent filing. So we can simply copy it and paste it in here to this new draft, scroll down and click Accept. Now our accepted draft rule should show up here in our rules work queue. You can find it easily by the timestamp. So if we had multiple rules in our notice that we were filing permanent language for, we would repeat the previous steps until all of our rules from our notice were here in the rules work queue. Then we check the box next to each rule that we're going to include in our permanent administrative order. For this example, we just have the single rule. Then from this drop-down menu, we will select Permanent. And now we click Create New Filing. Doing this will actually create the permanent administrative order and attach our selected rules to it. Now we're on the permanent administrative order page. So the first field we need to fill out is the agency approved date. This is the date the agency, board, commission, or council has voted for or given approval for filing of the final permanent rule text. This date must be on or before the filing date. Let's consider this rule to have been approved today. Now the effective date is the date the agency wants the rule to be effective and must be on or after the filing date. Caution should be used if the effective date is more than 30 days in the future. No actions may be taken on a rule until the effective date has passed. For example, a permanent rule filed in July with an effective date in January of the next year cannot be amended or repealed or have a statutory minor correction or temporary rule filed on it until the January effective date has passed. So let's also make it effective today. Now our filing caption. This can only be 15 words, and more often than not, it is the same as the filing caption was for the notice. So we'll just put in example caption. Next is the Rules field. This field is the rule or rules you selected to include in the filing. Double check to ensure all needed rules are on the list. You can add missing rules from the drop-down list if there are rules in the rule work queue in the accepted status. That drop-down list would be here. Because the Add Rule button is gray, that means there are no rules in the accepted status in our rules work queue. To remove a rule that does not belong on the filing, you can click Remove. I want to call special attention to the Noticed Filed Date field. Here, this will often be auto-filled in for you because only one notice has been filed on this rule number. However, sometimes notices need to be updated and refiled. Sometimes we refer to these as corrected notices because the scope of the notice was changed or additional rules needed to be added to the package. In that event, there will be a drop-down list here with multiple dates to select. Be sure to select the correct notice that contains all of the most up-to-date information. Next, we have the Filing Contact Information section. This may be the Rules Coordinator's contact information or the Subject Matter Expert's contact information. Lastly, we need to check this box here that says an authorized signer has reviewed and authorized this filing. Then, if we're ready to submit our permanent filing, we will click Submit. If we're not quite ready, we can save it and submit it later. Our filing was successfully submitted. Continue to monitor OARD until it is published under the Filing's Final Queue. Do not consider this filing completed until you see that it has been published. We click OK, and we're back here on our dashboard. Here is our permanent filing, and it says Submitted. Now, if it is approved by the Administrative Rules Unit having no issues, it will move down to our Filing's Final Queue. However, if it gets returned to us because it needs one or more corrections made, it will appear here with red text, and it will say returned, and it will give you a due date in which we will need the corrections to be submitted by. For your record keeping, you will want to download a receipt copy of your filing. You can do that before the Administrative Rules Unit reviews and publishes your filing, or you can wait to make sure there are no corrections needed and download the receipt copy after it has been published and moves down to your filing's final queue. You could also download both, replacing the first one with the second one after corrections are made. The choice is yours.